SportsCenter back again at 5, and our primetime NFL free agency special is at 9. We cap the day with SportsCenter with SVP at 11 Eastern. ESPN has you covered all day long.
Back to throw, fires, caught, touchdown, Tom Brady.
So Tom Brady throws his first ever Super Bowl touchdown pass.
Adam Vinatieri can be the hero for the Patriots.
48-yard field goal attempt for Adam Vinatieri. Ball down, kick up, kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
Busy week in the NFL. Let's focus now on New England as they prepare for life without TB12. Yesterday, right here on First Take, former Patriot Teddy Bruschi told us the team is comfortable with Jarrett Stidham and that bringing in a free agent quarterback might not be the right move right now. They also have Cody Kessler on that roster. And we bring in our guy, Ryan Clark. RC, thank you so much for joining us.
I mean, it's good to be with you guys, man. Glad you guys are safe. It's awesome to see your faces.
Likewise,
yes,
RC.
Likewise.
Same here, likewise.
Ryan, before we get to the topic, I want to get your thoughts on Tom Brady headed to the Bucs.
Listen, guys, our reaction could be so much better if we weren't going through these unbelievable times, because seeing Tom Brady in another uniform makes me kind of feel like where we are as a world. This is something I never expected. I never expected to be living in a world where Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Here, there's a lady I work with at my training facility. Her name's Catherine Latuitt, and she is the biggest Tom Brady fan in the world. She's actually from Foxborough. And yesterday, she's on the group chat, and she's texting, and she's talking about how she feels like she's been broken up with. She's 27 years old. She said, this is the only quarterback I've ever known. When you think of the Patriots, when you think of championships, when you think of that dynasty, to me, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they are hand in hand the first two names you think of. So to think that he's playing in a different place, he's in Tampa Bay in a different uniform, under a different coach, with a different logo on his helmet is absolutely unbelievable. But it's going to be fun to watch and see what each entity can be without the other.
No question. Certainly surreal times, to say the least, Ryan. But, Stephen A., I want to focus on Foxborough. And we mentioned Jarrett Stidham. Who do you think should be replacing Tom Brady as they look to move forward?
Well, there's several names that you could come up with. One of the names that I like is Andy Dalton. I know that over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been a little rough for him when you're playing in Cincinnati. These are the kind of things that can happen to you. You can suffer the consequences of your association and your affiliation. His first 5 or 6 years in the league, his first 5 years in the league, he had a winning record. After his rookie year, he went 5 consecutive years completing better than 61, 62% of his passes. And so when I think about him and the potential that he has, and him obviously starving for a different, more structured and beneficial situation to himself, considering the fact that he's never won a playoff game in his life because he was playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, and his, him being accustomed to the AFC to some degree. If Bill Belichick is who we all think and we know he is, I think he could do something with an Andy Dalton, and I think that Andy Dalton still has some potential left in him.
Yeah, I would say Dalton is a name you hear, but I like 2 ideas that are not really being talked about much. One is Taysom Hill. If the Patriots can make an offer that can pry him away, that New Orleans doesn't match, Taysom Hill is interesting to me. I know he's thought of around the league as a gadget player. I've always thought he's more than that. The guy has an arm. He's smart. He can run through a brick wall and will do it. He's very fast. He can catch passes, and sometimes that kind of the plethora of skills, right, along the entire spectrum of talent obscures what is most valuable, which is if you can play quarterback and do a lot of those things. Lamar Jackson, because he's fast, right? But we've seen Taysom Hill do things that Lamar Jackson hasn't, like catch passes and play fullback, running back, the whole thing. So that can kind of get obscured. But he can play quarterback to the point where Sean Payton believes he's the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. So I think that's one. And the other is Matthew Stafford. Detroit won 3 games last year. No, they want to keep Stafford because it'd be a cap hit. They want to keep Stafford because they want to compete. They won 3 games last year, and Stafford has always been an elite talent who has achieved like an upper middle class quarterback, but in fact has elite talent. I'd love to see what Belichick could do if he got his hands on him.
I think Andy Dalton is going to be the name that's thrown out because I believe, to me, that was a name that was kind of connected to the New England Patriots when rumors started to go around that Tom Brady would be entering free agency and he would be testing out the waters in other places. But when you look at Andy Dalton, you say to yourself, what is Andy Dalton without weapons? What did we see with him when he had no A.J. Green? This is a guy who has been on the decline through the last few years, even though he was off to a hot start where he actually made it to a Pro Bowl. And then you go back to Taysom Hill. I know we always kind of hear that Sean Payton thinks Taysom Hill is Steve Young and Sean Payton believes all these things. What I do know is for 5 games last year, Sean Payton did not have Drew Brees. And the person that was not the starting quarterback was Taysom Hill. It was Teddy Bridgewater, who is now in Carolina. So that tells me all I need to know about Taysom Hill is that he's great doing all of those other things and giving you some spot play at quarterback. But he's not necessarily a guy you want to bet your future on at the position. And this is with Sean Payton having an opportunity to get him those reps that would have said, you know what, you are the heir apparent to Drew Brees. I know this name won't be thrown out there, and I know a lot of people won't think this makes sense, but I like the name Cam Newton. Cam Newton is now going to be a guy who can seek a trade, not because he asked, but because the Carolina Panthers signed Teddy Bridgewater. And so now you look at what the New England Patriots have been offensively for decades, and that's been an offense that can morph into anything that they need to be to win football games, whether it's run first or if it's a game where they're going to use the short passing game or if they feel like they have a matchup on the outside that they can exploit. So that's a team that with a guy like Cam Newton who can do a lot of the things that Max said Taysom Hill can do, but we also know when healthy, he can actually start at quarterback and win football games, even an MVP. If Cam Newton is healthy, if he's a guy that you feel that you can have a piece of for 1 or 2 years and then move on with a younger guy, that's someone I would explore, talk to, try to get into my building when it's time and we can to see if we can win football games.
Ryan, I disagree with that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, and I know you qualified it by saying if he's healthy, no question about that. For some reason, I always looked at Cam Newton. I thought his release was a little bit slow. I thought he took a little bit longer to get rid of the ball compared to Brady. I also look at Cam Newton, and I think about the pressure of a name brand like Cam Newton succeeding Tom Brady in Foxborough, working for Bill Belichick. I'm not sure that works. When I think about Cam Newton, Ryan, the team that comes to my mind is the Chicago Bears. That's what I think about because in Chicago, he succeeded Mitchell Trubisky. He just has the pressure to perform. He doesn't have the pressure of succeeding a legend. And I think that's the difference, and that's why I didn't mention him with New England. With Andy Dalton, the expectations are going to be limited to some degree. You find him, all right, listen, he's coming from Cincinnati. He hasn't had the greatest time. We don't have the weapons necessary, or at least elite weapons at this particular moment in time. Just try not to mess up too much. That's what you're looking for from Andy Dalton. In the case of Cam Newton, the expectations would be loftier. I think that could potentially work against them in New England with Bill Belichick succeeding Tom Brady. You don't have that issue in Chicago if you were to succeed Mitchell Trubisky. And you've got that defense, which is elite. Not to say you don't have it in New England. Yeah. You certainly got a defense in Chicago that could help you along as well. I think Chicago's a better situation for Cam than New England.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but that doesn't mean that New England can't work. That doesn't mean that we've seen many people who have been perceived to be issues or that have been perceived to be a certain way get to New England, find a way to work in the Patriots way, and have success there. And I think Cam Newton could be the same. The other thing about Cam Newton is no matter who succeeds Tom Brady, there's going to be a microscope on you. You're still going to be succeeding the greatest quarterback of all time. So there's going to be pressure there. Who has had who has handled pressure or had pressure like Cam Newton has coming out of college, and you had all of the issues with people saying the things he did at Florida or the type of person he was, type of person his dad was, the way that he's been perceived because of some of his behaviors on the field. Cam Newton's dealt with pressure. He's dealt with scrutiny. And when you have a player like that, a player who has understood and kind of been under fire from the outside world and performed, I think he's a guy who could get into New England kind of under that umbrella where they try to protect people and be very successful. They're also under a coach that knows how to win.
One thing, I agree with a lot of that, Ryan. I think those are good points. Who says Belichick has to do it just the way he's always done it? They're a different offense from week to week, depending on he looks in the toolbox, what do I need? But one thing that's been consistent with all of his quarterbacks, not only Tom Brady, but then the guy ultimately, through all the guys who came through there to back Tom Brady up, the one guy who's like him, I'm going to give the reins to him. Before Brady had Garoppolo shipped out of town was Garoppolo. And what do they have in common? Whatever you think about, gets rid of the ball fast. You know, Brady made quick decisions. One of the reasons he wasn't as good under pressure this upcoming season, which is why I think the underlying kind of stuff is really slipping with him, it happens with age, your reflex is slow, is the decisions were not coming as fast. And Garoppolo, whatever else you want to say with him, gets rid of the ball quick. That seems to be a hallmark of a quarterback for Brady. What's that?
Why were the decisions not coming fast from Brady?
His reflexes are slowing down. He's in his 40s.
Oh, really? So the reflexes are slowing down. In other words, his brain is not computing it, or his reflexes are not good. It couldn't be the fact that you got a rookie wide receiver and a rookie tight end to rely upon, and you're trying to figure out whether they know what they're doing. It couldn't be that.
That don't help.
Could be that.
That don't help, but that's not the point I'm making.
We'll see this year. He got weapons.
The point is Brady got rid of the ball quick. Belichick, to me, obviously values that. So did Garoppolo. That's not Cam Newton.
All right, we got to go. All right, here's what we do know. According to our Mike Reese, Jarrett Stidham now leads the quarterback group. I realize it's not the sexy name, but Stidham is a real possibility.
Ryan
Clark's sticking around here with us. When we come back here on First Take, we will have much more on Brady, but we also want to get into this. The Hall of Famer Michael Irvin was on Get Up with inside scoop on what may have led to DeAndre Hopkins getting traded by Bill O'Brien, this controversial decision. We dive into all of it. Plus, Brady or Belichick, who has more to prove now? That is going to be the dominant storyline heading into this next season. We'll debate.